Salute! Aye, aye, Captain!
Continental Drifts is split into music and production. So our production side organised gigs for like over 1 million people a year. We do Trafalgar Square and places like that. But my particular department is Continental Drifts Music, which is we put on a lot of festival stages. We work with loads of new bottom-up bands, especially where it's involving diverse culture mixing with the 21st century culture that we've got here. We work across every type of gig, and that's what we've been doing for years and years and years. Even when we first started, festivals weren't such a big thing, but that's been our thing for a really long time now. And yeah, we are totally dedicated to grassroots culture. Before Continental Drifts, I was in a band called Tofu Love Frogs for 10 years, touring all the squats and crazy anarchist places all over Europe. As a band, we were very, very quite political and, you know, kind of anti-fascist. And yeah, that led us to getting banned from every single venue in the whole of England by the Tory government at the time. Because I'm coming from punk rock, and then just the nature of who we were and where we coming from, you know, we were all in squats in the beginning. There was a lot more activism around the whole environmental thing. It's just for some bizarre reason, you know, we've always really supported those places. We've done loads of bands for lots of really big protests. We've organised all the music on massive protests before as well and stuff like that. We just really, really, really appreciate artists who say something different than "I love you, shwadi wadi, booby booby." 2 words on a remix. It doesn't really do it for us. You know, it's great when people say something about their music. Musicians over 1,000 years have always brought the new ideas, and they've brought activism with them, and they've said stuff because people move around, whereas quite often the audience doesn't move around so much. So they've always had a wider opinion of stuff, you know, going back to the Silk Road, really. Back in those days, punk, reggae really said something. Just look at Bob Marley's lyrics. Do you know what I mean? In a really meaningful way, you know. What we don't have right now is big stars that say stuff. Ed Sheeran, he won't even ask people to vote. You know what I mean? They're terrified to actually say anything meaningful at all, you know. A lot of things, a lot of subcultures are formed by friends. There's no subculture that wasn't formed by friends, really. And also, you know, when you think about it, you know, if you go back to the 60s, I could go on a long time about this subject. If you go back to the 60s, London was a village. We had to move our offices in central Walthamstow, and this place came up, and we were like, well, this is just too good to be true. We can't possibly, these things don't happen. And it did, and we've been here now 14 years down by the River Lea, seeing everything that's going on, seeing this whole area go from like literally barren industrial estates to look all around us, tower blocks now, all the way down to the River Thames. Aside to that, it's really peaceful. Don't want to sound like a hippie, but there's a positive energy coming out of water that makes you a lot more calmer. And yeah, you get a sense of freedom that you can do whatever you want down here, you know, which is great. We've had gigs on the roof. No one ever troubles us, you know. The amount of communities and artists that we pull on that are all either living in barges or they're living down in the warehouses. They're all on the side of the River Lea because it's a marginal place, or it was, up to very recently, a very marginal place. You know, so a lot of artists could live there and exist there. And, you know, young people could still get one of these barges, 35 grand, get you a nice barge. You move it every 2 weeks, you're not paying rent. You've got to pay a little bit of license here and there, but it's still the only option for a lot of people.